And that, ladies and gentlemen, we've nearly concluded to a 3-week break. One of the longest, and in fairness, it's a result of having such a crammed winter festive period. Welcome to another edition of the FPL Addicts podcast, this time being Gameweek 32. And for some managers, they've either played a chip or are procrastinating in the idea to plan on playing one this weekend. But nonetheless, we'll do our best to fulfill such answers with the usual host himself. And tonight I'm joined by a beloved guest who had his finger on the pulse when this game came out. He's reveled and flourished with such wonderful numbers, especially on various media outlets such as TikTok and Instagram. You may see him with a handle, it being FPL Tom. That's enough for the introduction fun because I'm going to waste a lot of time. But more importantly to you, Tom, for the first time, welcome to the FPL Addicts podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me. That was a glowing review. Yeah, what can I say? It's been a long time where we've had a delay from FPL, isn't it? And I feel people are just ready for it to be back. And yeah, it's good to be here. Hopefully, you can pull me out of potentially making some silly mistakes this game week, because, like you said, I think my finger is close to pulling that wildcard button.
Just considering how long it's gone, it's good to hear you're ready, mate. I'm up to the point now where I've seen the distance from Premier League clubs to the local Gregs, and now I'm just keen to do the Championship edition.
I think there was some going around, but I think it was like a CEX. Where was the closest CEX to like a football stadium in the Championship? So if I find it afterwards, I'll send it on to you.
Oh, please do, because that would be 46 and a lot of research involved. But calm. Bosh, we are back. Colm, are you back as well? Because we've got 7 weeks to go. You've pretty much been our Fulham correspondent for the last 3 seasons. Tell us, what is happening with Fulham players? Are they going to go on a 3-man weave? Are they about to hit a purple patch under Marco Silva? Who knows if he survives till the end of the season? Or are they pretty much booked their beach holidays before the double game weeks even begin? But, Tom, now it's 31 gone. And I would like to ask you, how have you found the season in general? Because we saw at the start there's an overwhelming amount of rule changes to get our heads around, and our ability to adapt to them so quickly. What's your take?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think a lot of people probably devalued the rule changes or didn't think it would have, as big an impact as it actually has had on the game. But I think that obviously comes in twofold, really, is not only have the rule changes, made certain players more appealing, especially those with the defensive contribution aspects of the game, but I think just the state of the overall Premier League. I saw some fantastic stuff over the international break, talking about obviously the kind of, switch in the style of play where it's gone from this, more free-flowing attacking football to slow, set pieces, all that stuff. And that's really helped, to be honest, amplify defensive contributions. I think I did a video on it over the break as well, and spoke about obviously how overpowered it's been for certain players. I think for Senesi, it's like pretty much a player would have had to get 15 assists or 7 goals to pretty much match the points that he's got from defensive contribution. So it's had a big impact on the game, and I don't think as many people have realised that. But I also think the style of the Premier League has also kind of gone hand in hand with the introduction of defensive contributions, because I think any normal season, they probably would have had some impact. But I feel with, of course, the style and the nature of the Premier League this season, I feel it's just gone hand in hand and kind of mutated into this thing where I think probably FPL Towers didn't really want it to go in that direction either, where, everyone's just picking DEFCON guys. You're not really looking for attackers anymore. So I think it's kind of mutated into this thing that is a little bit unbalanced, but maybe that might potentially balance itself out next season if there's, a revolution in the way that the actual Premier League is played itself. You're on mute, I think, mate.
Thank you. That was for my comment. To be honest, about the mute comment, that's been going on about 50 times during the pod this season. So I am a fallen victim on such occasion. Well summarised, if anything. Miriam, thank you for joining. I know you've been waiting for 3 weeks. You messaged me today. It's like, what's happening? It's like, yeah, we're here. Not sure if we're in the groove and in the same way people like to do renditions of a Madonna song, but we'll do what we can. Joseph, thank you for tuning in as well. Now, we got to, as usual, before we look forward, we got to sometimes dwell on what's happened in the past. And Tom, you are first off, 62 points, not a bad return, and a pretty good overall rank considering how hard it is to get to such position. But take it away.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster of a season, really. I started the season so bad. I think at one point I was like 9 million rank. And I was just like, oh my God, what is happening here? Then we pulled it back around game week 2021. We were sat around 50K. I thought, here we go, another 10K finish. We're on the cards. And then it's kind of just really, really gone downhill in the past few weeks. But we've brought it back a little bit from around like 280, I think it was, where I was before this week's, to 235. I just did the basics, really. Captain Bruno Fernandes, who was the best pick, didn't make any kind of, luxury moves and just left the team as it was. And as you can see, it got me a green arrow. It did fairly well for that game week. So I was just happy about that. I also kind of, when I was in kind of a bad period a few game weeks ago where I was like 300K, I was like, right, let's make something positive out of this season. And I decided for every red arrow that I was going to get from now to the end of the season, I'd give like £20 to a food bank. I've thankfully only had to give one donation so far. So the green arrows are coming back. But yeah, if the season obviously does go downhill a little bit more, at least we're getting some positive out of it. And the food bank are getting some money from it.
Well, I think considering you've only done one, you may as well make it 10 at this point. I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but what I will say, it's very good rank. I know halfway through the season, you had a very good one. Well, you're just inside the top 60K too. What an understandable but little drop off. What's been the cause behind it, do you believe? Is it because of the amount of players getting rotated when we least expect to, or are we maybe not paying enough attention to particular budget gems?
I can put it down to one player. I made the switch so Dominic Szoboszlai got suspended in the Manchester City game. I benched him that week anyway, so it was kind of one of those where I still would have been nice to get the points out of him, but I benched him regardless. And next week I needed to play him, so I needed to make a switch. So I decided to shift some things around and take a -4 to bring in Morgan Rogers. And then Morgan Rogers just went on that long period where he just didn't pick up any attacking returns. Dominic Szoboszlai was hitting like 30-yard screamers in every week, getting defensive contributions. I was like, oh my God. And that's kind of just the period where I started to slide down. And I think the other thing that kind of contributed to the downfall as well was just ignoring the highly owned players. So during that period, it was like Semenyo every single week was getting points. He was like 50% owned, didn't have him. João Pedro and Cole Palmer on that period where Chelsea had that, that really good like 3 to 4 game week period where they just were playing like Wolves, Burnley, all the worst teams you want to target. And I just didn't have these guys. So I was pretty much just facing off against, these 80, 90% effective ownership players. And every single week they were just absolutely mullering me. And I had Morgan Rogers getting 2 points or typical Morgan Rogers 1-pointers. So that's kind of, I think, been the contributing factor to the downfall. And I definitely think it's something that I need to focus on a little bit more next season, is probably not to try and take on too many high effective ownership players at once and kind of deal with that in a better scenario. Because like I said, going up against 2 or 3 of those guys every single week when they've got the fixtures just doesn't really seem like a sensible play from me.
No, that's fair. So I was holding a sneeze for a moment, but yeah, no, you're spot on. Thank you for carrying on the composure. Yeah, Morgan Rogers, a very interesting one, especially with Villa's form in August. Do you find it just so strange too how Villa would get up to as high as 3rd, yet in August they just simply didn't show up?
I mean, it's kind of every time I've owned Villa players, I had them for the start of the season as well. They've just decided that they don't want to play football. They want to lose games. But I think if you look at like the XG tables and stuff like that, they're like sat mid-table. So I feel it's probably a fair reflection of how their season's gone, to be honest. They've sometimes in games where they've not deserved to win, they have done. But then they go on these periods, like you said, at the start of the season and now, where they just can't buy a win. But I feel that's just kind of, the XG just balancing itself out a little bit there.
To the Addicts Podcast League, just very briefly, we got Reedy, who had a good week. We'll just go over his team in due respect to him because he showed up last episode. Not bad. He actually fared from the Villa assets, surprisingly, and Croupy up front, Bruno captain, and All Hail Hill, who unfortunately and regretfully ended on a -1. We'll go briefly. Oh, mate, how did I go? I must have had a phenomenal week for the first time in about 91 years. So 63, yeah. Callagher clean sheet. Cunha actually did something for once, and it being on field. Wilson goal, which we'd love to see, home to Burnley. Cello called it weeks ago. Bruno captain. I think him coming in just proved quite pivotal at this stage of the season. And Marcello, it's Defcon do far. We do miss you already. 67, fabulous. Croupy doing the trick there. Wilson, Callagher, up, down, back, 2. Right. Should we just trying to figure out? That's right. Spreadsheets. I think we need to go over the blanks and the doubles because 6 sides have 2 games, which I think is at Bournemouth, Brighton, Burnley, Chelsea, Man City, and Leeds. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, spot on.
Fair. Wows. And that also came from the cup results. Did they all come as not so much of a surprise, or was it also mainly Arsenal who simply lost? That kind of twisted the narrative.
Yeah, I think probably people maybe expected West Ham to beat Leeds. That was kind of the more probable prediction. But I think, to be honest, it was kind of one of those where it could have gone either way, to be honest. They're both, kind of down there for a reason. So I think it was a pretty even matchup, to be honest. So yeah, I think it just is the Arsenal-Southampton one that really kind of, I would say, threw everybody's chip strategy in the bin a little bit.
Because despite that, Arsenal have a more favourable fixtures heading up until the end of the season. Now, Marcel, if you're watching them, so I'm not going to spend 15 to 20 minutes on this. As much as I love colours, this isn't my forte, yeah? But in due respect, Tom and I will do our best to give a dissect on as such. But looking at this graph with the last 7 weeks of the season, Tom, it could just be Arsenal. But what are some other key observations with what's in front of us?
Yeah, I think Leeds are kind of the nice standout here, realistically, especially with their double for people that are looking at the Wildcard in 32 as well. After that, they also have some pretty nice fixtures. Burnley, a massive relegation 6-pointer that by that point could potentially confirm Leeds, Premier League status. Spurs, again, if it does go down to that game, another one. Brighton and West Ham to end the season. There's some great fixtures in there for Leeds with a double as well. So I think that really does suit the people that are kind of, wild card, bench boost, free hit strategy. Sunderland are a team that definitely have my eye as well. For the plans that I'm looking at. I think the Tottenham game's a pretty nice one in 32. Decent fixture in the blank game week in 34. Good fixture in game week 35, and some okay fixtures as well to end the season for a few of their players. Obviously, Wolves have got a great run, but it's kind of a case of who would be the players that you would realistically select. Like, nobody's really pulled up any trees. Maybe like Armstrong potentially, but again, he's never really proven it at like Premier League level for me, to be honest. So despite them having some great fixtures in there, there probably aren't going to be, any players that I personally am going to look at. And I think a lot of FPL managers as well of that same vein, probably also going to miss out on that. I think City as well, also a pretty nice team to target. Obviously, Chelsea this week is a red, but I mean, the way that they've dismantled Liverpool in the Cup, Chelsea haven't kept a clean sheet for 9 Premier League games. I think the writing's starting to be on the wall a little bit for their manager as well. I could very easily see City, doing that, then head into Arsenal in the double game week. If they win that game with the remaining fixtures they've got left as well, everybody's going to want to have at least 2 or 3 City assets and another double game week further down the line as well. So they're probably the standout teams for me that I'm probably keeping my eyes on right now. Any for you, mate?
Well, I think Man City stand out, as you said, but again, I won't say the reasons because you've kind of stated. However, 2 double game weeks forecasted in the last 7 weeks makes it quite handy for what it is. I think a big argument now is because we've seen in the last few weeks is that a lot of people have gone Semenyo instead of Haaland, who's been a bit lacklustre in front of goal. Is it best to follow the trend still or is there more importance now to go with a Norwegian? Because I think there is merit to go with a Norwegian, not because of his form, but because of the lack of alternatives and premiums. Because we saw Cole Palmer, he's not really got going. Where Mo Salah, he's just been dried up or washed. I know Rudy likes to say that. Yeah, Saka hasn't been the same for a good while, but he's doing what he can, but he's not showing enough to warrant the price tag. Do you agree with that sentiment? Is that maybe Haaland is the way to go because there's no other premium trying to collide with the budget required?
Yeah, I think Haaland's got to be pretty much a lock in everybody's teams because, like you said, he's got the 2 double game weeks. And for people that have still got the triple captaincy left as well, probably going to be looking at either, the double in 33 or potentially even whenever they get the other one, whether that be 36 or game week 37. So I think for just those reasons alone and just covering yourself up from an effective ownership standpoint, I think Haaland just has to be in there. And as you quite rightly alluded to as well, there are no other premiums that are really demanding the budget right now. You can get Haaland in and still build a very, very competitive side that doesn't really require any other premiums because you just go Haaland and Bruno and Gabriel. The rest of the team is still very, very decent. There's no Salah, no Palmer to really worry about like longer term after the double game week either.
You're spot on. And on the flip side, are there any assets who do stand out but don't have a double for the rest of the season?
I think the obvious one is going to be Bruno Fernandes, right? He is the obvious one that there is no obviously double game week, but you look at the fixtures that he's got, you'd have to say this week he is the clear and obvious captaincy choice up against Leeds. Brentford in game week 34 as well, another home fixture for Manchester United. Again, very, very good captaincy material. You look at game week 37, if that's just going to be a normal week as well. I know Arsenal have got Burnley, but by that point, they could have already won potentially the Premier League, so it might be a rotated side. I don't really feel confident in trusting any of their attackers. So again, Bruno puts himself in terms of another captaincy shout there as well. So I think over that period there, the 7 game weeks, there's 3 standout weeks there for me that Bruno Fernandes looks to be the best captain. So he is probably the main asset I would be looking to keep on a wild card for 32. Or of course, just, if you've not got a wild card left, keep him in the side because like I said, he's just captaincy gold for quite a few weeks for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. And right, last question, because I already know this is good conversation, but I always believe short and sharp on a particular segment to a point. But let's carry some of our thoughts into our teams, but also the transfer traffic, because there's a lot to delve into there. But last one, any teams bound to avoid and assets within for the rest of the season? I mean, Brentford is a very intriguing one because I think some people would still have Thiago. Is it worth holding on to him or not now?
You're gonna see one of my wildcard drafts actually has Thiago in. So I still think he could be a decent option purely because, right, Brentford are chasing European football down. The first time they would ever achieve that in their history. Thiago as well has got to still keep banging the goals in if he wants to end up on the plane for the World Cup for Brazil. He's also chasing down Haaland in terms of the Golden Boot as well. Like, there's so much still to play for with that side. I think sometimes maybe we do overvalue fixtures a little bit. But I look at some of the defenses that he's coming up against with those red fixtures. United's defense still seems a little bit wobbly at times and definitely one where they can be exploited against. You've got West Ham in there. You've got Everton, who he managed to hit a decent double-digit haul against as well. Palace, again, by that point, maybe their full focus is going to be towards European football. And then Liverpool on the final day. Again, Liverpool have been so ropey at the back for large parts of this season that, again, I wouldn't even mind playing Thiago in that fixture.
Well said. It's a lot of colour coding there and some great opinions. More importantly, very briefly on the European front, because there's been a few results. Kai Havertz scoring a last-minute winner for Arsenal away at Sporting CP, it being Victor Gyökeres's former colleagues. Liverpool played PSG later, and some people have already got their own opinions on that. But what's been great to see is Forest, Villa and Palace all still getting this far in their respective competitions, it being the Europa and the Conference League as such. Forest playing Porto tomorrow night, Villa away at Bologna. alongside Palace, who faced Fiorentina at home, who have already played earlier in the season. Right. We've got to now look what's in front of us, because Gameweek 32, some do kind of see it being the calm before the storm. And it's more, do we play our ways going a week early and do the fixtures show for it? It's starting early kickoff and early deadline. I think they both make sense. Don't get caught out, managers. And we end with a Monday night feast in which, in the first fixture, it proves being Ruben Amorim's last game in charge. Now, whenever I get to this section, Tom, I always ask whoever's part of a panel, pick one match from either a neutral perspective or from an FPL per se that you're looking forward to the most.
I'm going to say West Ham Wolves, just because Premier League football is back. Like, I think genuinely so many of us have missed FPL. Like, there's people in my Discord group asking, like, should I bring in like a West Ham player just so they've got somebody in the first game so they can watch Premier League football again? I'm genuinely looking forward to just like I said, the Premier League being back, FPL being back in motion as well, and seeing all the different strategies that people are obviously going for this game week as well. So yeah, I think that one's going to be, it'll probably be the worst game of the weekend, but everyone will just be so hyped for it to be back until about 20 minutes in when there's not been a shot on target.
It's a good shout, especially for those who decide to own Jared Bowen in this game, or 1 in 100,000 who decide to own a budget Wolves asset. Now, my choice, because I've enjoyed their downfall so much, and that Super Sunday Rumble where Forest dismantled them, it's Sunderland v Tottenham. It's huge. Under Roberto De Zerbi now, that Tudor unfortunately parted ways with a club. But this is just huge. I think Sunderland really need a win, but of more importance, Spurs don't get anything. Can you imagine the uproar?
Mate, I kind of want to see Spurs go down. It's just going to be entertaining if they go down, really. Yeah. I mean, no North London derby for you, which is a shame. I think you always want like your derby fixtures, especially like, the broadcasters will be absolutely gutted that fixture goes straight off the calendar. But to watch them in the Championship with that stadium is going to be absolutely hilarious. So I kind of hope they go down. I've got nothing against Spurs, but it just would be funny.
Yeah, I think us Arsenal fans, we just want peace and closure against our rivals after all these years, to be fair with you. But also the Tottenham, seeing the away fans, it reminds me of the image of Will Smith where he gets that Polaroid camera out of his car. And he's just pretty much taking photos, and it says pretty much all the away fans to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the Championship come next season. Oh, yeah. Okay. Gold. So it's a good amount of fixtures, but next week, that's where it's going to flick the switch. And the narrative's already flicked when it comes to the transfer traffic in the top transfers in and out. And who would have thought, I think he's 35 now, but he's been a proper Barclays baller. He's leading the transfer front. Who would have had this at the start of the season on their bingo card? Double Brighton, double Man City, and fair enough too, with a double come next week alongside the solitary singular in Bruno Fernandes, and a lot of familiar names in the transfers out. But any particular surprises you spot out where it can be one or it can be multiple?
I think I'm a little bit surprised by Mbuemo given the fixture this week. I know he's been poor and he's not really been at the races, but I still think it's quite a nice fixture, especially if people aren't on like Wildcard this week. I definitely would be, not looking to really sell a guy who's got, Leeds at home. That seems like a pretty decent fixture as well. Ekitike as well. I know, again, another player who's been massively frustrating. And if he is going to start this weekend, could be a pretty decent option. The other one is going to be João Pedro. Like, they've got a double game week coming up. I know they've got City, but it's a double game week after this. Like, why are people selling João Pedro? I'm a little bit confused by that one.
It's a very intriguing one. Yeah, you're not wrong. No, well said, to be fair. The Mbumo shout I agree with, especially. Nico Riley's an intriguing one because he sometimes gets rotated, but has he been the more informed City asset as of recent times? Because it seems like he has been more attacking than we realise.
Yeah, I think his points per game, like in terms of, I think the past 5 or 6 game weeks, he's been right up there. He's been absolutely smashing it. And I've said this in a few videos this week. Nico Riley feels like he has the potential to be one of the most explosive assets, not only for Manchester City, but in the game entirely. Because when he does play out of position, you then do just have a defender who plays for a pretty decent defense, just roaming around the box up front, like, and you're just like, that guy shouldn't be there. Like, he genuinely has some of the biggest, I would say, potential for those mega hauls that we all like love and crave. So I understand why people are going for him. And, you know, there is always that risk of rotation, but at the same time, there's always that risk of that mega haul landing. And I do feel he's going to be a very, very popular asset over the next few weeks.
Yeah. And we need it's a compliment, not quite the City fun, but talk about Welbeck. I want to get your thoughts on this guy because he's got such a good fixture this week and then followed by a nice double. And then it's actually not bad after Bed Blank.
No, the fixtures are pretty good. And Danny Welbeck has just been, again, just pretty consistent across the season, you know, for especially for his budget at 6.2 million. He has just, you know, turned up every now and again. There's like little bursts that he goes through where he manages to hit some, you know, decent scores. But then there is also those bursts where he's either on the bench or, you know, coming off for a 20-minute substitution. And that is the worry that is a little bit in the back of my mind. I think the other thing as well is for certain parts of the season, he's had penalty share. Now he's missed his last 2 penalties. I do just wonder, is somebody else like going to take the ball next time they get one from the spot? Is it going to be Pascal Gross? If James Milner's on the pitch, he's probably going to be the guy that steps up and takes it. And I do think that probably maybe devalues him a little bit, especially when you've got somebody like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who has the penalties, is cheaper, and also has very, very good fixtures across this run as well. So I do think Welbeck is good, but I don't know how influential he is compared to, say, a Dominic Calvert-Lewin for their sides. And I think that's probably, for me, enough to make me probably not look at Danny Welbeck. I think it probably would be a Calvert-Lewin ahead of him. I don't know if you agree on that or disagree on that.
Intriguing one. I think also with some strikers, they've got good home fixtures to complement the conversation. This guy's got a good home fixture, albeit like it's been on and off his form. Shiga Ekatike, it's worth holding on for another week.
I'd be tempted to see his minutes today and see how many he plays, because obviously Isak's now back amongst the squad and stuff like that. Maybe we might see an early substitution against Fulham. Maybe it might be a benching potentially as well, because Liverpool, like, they still need to obviously compete for European football for next season. But if they get a pretty decent result today away at Paris Saint-Germain, that is going to pretty much be their main focus, I would say, for the next few weeks going forward.
Wow. Well, that was a good dissection of the entire transfer traffic, to be honest. And with that, you're not going to believe it. I know we said we'd run on a particular time, but we've done well. I mean, we're only half an hour in, and we can go straight to our Gameweek 32 teams, unless there was a particular area you wanted to discuss on or anything you'd like to share.
No, let's dive straight into it, man. Let's go for it.
There. Before we do, because there's been a lot of comments, I need to catch up. I've had too much fun these days. It's Fluffy Hair Day Addicts. Yeah, look. You're not wrong. I mean, look at the pair of us. So there you have it. Hello, Tom. Good to have FPL back. Hope you're all good. Great to have your company. Banjo's going for the wild card come this Friday, but Colm's gone intriguing wild card 33. I agree with this. Do not bench boost on the final day of the season, because no. Just no. Oh, jeez. All right. But more importantly, if you feel like it, show us some of your drafts. If you want me to share screen, please let me know.
Yeah, I can do that. No problem.
Sure, no worries. But while we get that up, game, what moves are you planning? Because if I'm being honest, I've looked at my team and thought 24 hours ago, I might pull the trigger. But now it's more, I could get away with rolling. So, Colm, Joe, Banjo, what are we saying? I know you got a strategy, but what players are you thinking of bringing in, and who you're definitely going to dispatch out before all of that? Tom, would you like some help?
I think I've got it. I think that's the right one.
It's got the plus sign with the
Yeah.
telly. There's
Can you
more
see that?
intel. Yes, I can. Okay, and we're going straight
Cool.
up. Okay, talk us through.
So yeah, this is the template wildcard that I'm potentially looking at for game week 32. I mean, every man and their dog has pretty much seen this side, and I think if people are on the wildcard 32 bench boost free hit strategy, their team pretty much looks like this. There's maybe one or two changes in there, like certain personnel, but across the board, this is fairly, I would say, template, right? So that's one of the options. Obviously, the main pros of it is you get a great team for the bench boost for 33. You then, some of these players after that, especially, Bournemouth potentially could double. That might happen. It's more likely not to happen, but it still covers you off. Leeds, we've spoke about, obviously, with their fixtures, they come out into Burnley. Brighton don't have terrible fixtures either. City, if they're still on the charge, are in a pretty decent place. And I've still got Bruno and Gabriel. So it's not a terrible strategy, and I don't hate it. And I see there's a reason it's become pretty template. The problem is, do I feel confident in having a triple Brighton, having a triple Bournemouth, and a double Chelsea? Like, I think João Pedro is fine, but Cole Palmer's been very, very inconsistent this year. So that's kind of the downsides I'm seeing of this. And I think for the setup of the side for this game week as well, it really is underwhelming. I don't know what you think about this, obviously template wildcard that's going around at the moment. How are you kind of feeling about it?
I haven't kind of got my head around it. It's similar to the time when Mick McCarthy was at a press conference and someone asked him, why were you late to the game? And then he pretty much said the bus broke down. And then and Jenlin asked, why did it break down? And he said, couldn't go any further. That's kind of me, how I kind of see the team. I've got to put an honest opinion. I think it looks really good. And it's really good to see that you've put the thought and the effort in, especially for your target audience. So that's what I really like, and it's good. It's always welcoming on an Addicts perspective. Triple Bournemouth and Brighton, intriguing. That's what I will say. I don't mind the double Chelsea, to be honest. I think João Pedro is a good hold.
Yeah,
I like it. Haaland and Calvert-Lewin inclusions. Bruno's a really good strong hold too. Can I ask? Well, first of all, I want to start with Pascal Gross. Is it because you really want to go back to 2017 and you don't believe in the future?
No, it's purely because I think he might be the penalty taker potentially for Brighton, which is always something I do value. Also has set piece share and has hit defensive contributions, not on like a regular basis, but for 5.5 million, he probably is the best pick that you're going to get from Brighton. The other midfielders all seem like they have either minutes doubts or they don't hit DEFCON consistently or don't have anything else going for them. So that's the reason he's ended up in here.
Yeah, no, fair. And Tavernier as well.
Again, I think he's been a little bit of a troll over the past few weeks. If I bring up his numbers, you will see like the XGI that he's been putting up over the past few weeks, like 1.47 here, 0.58, 0.32, and he's just coming away with like 2.32. We saw that he doesn't have penalty share when Krupi's on the pitch. It looks like Krupi's going to be the penalty taker for Bournemouth. But obviously, Krupi plays very inconsistent minutes. If he starts, he comes off around 60, 70. So I still have some penalty share there, or he comes on for the last 20 minutes of the game. So, Tavernier is great from open play. Again, has set pieces, free kicks, corners, stuff like that. And there is some penalty share with him as well for a side that potentially doubles and doesn't have bad fixtures coming out of it. And then I can very easily swap them as well for the Palace players that then will double in 36. That's kind of the play with a lot of the Bournemouth guys.
Yeah, no, it's good. You sound organised. So I think what's really awaiting now is the big triple figure points.
Yeah, I mean, that is the ultimate thing is this strategy works if the bench boost really, really cooks next game week. I think because obviously you're really devaluing your side. Well, a lot of people will be for this game week. There's some great one-sided fixtures we spoke about, like obviously people selling off, United players ahead of Leeds at home. People obviously looking to get rid of Liverpool players. Some people I've even spoke to are getting rid of like Gabriel and Arsenal players. And I do just think these guys are very good and very consistent point scoring players.
Yeah.
Is it the wisest decision to get rid of them to bring in like a Gross or a Van Heck? Yeah, they've got like good fixtures for the next 2, but longer term, do I really want to be stuck with those guys and have to, use my transfers to get back in these very consistent and very good scoring players? Probably not. And I think that is why I'm a little bit hesitant on this strategy.
Fair. No, nice one, but great outlay. If anything, was there another draft you do want to show, or is this the only one? Because I know
yeah, I've got another one.
got another one.
Let me see if my boomer waves work. Can you see that? Hang on.
Boomer waves. This one for the Gen Z boomers out there. Or
can you see that?
Yeah, I can. Oh, geez, it's a lot of red flashing. Kanye West would call it flashing lights, but it's just aesthetic looks.
Yeah. So this is the other strategy that I'm thinking about going for. Now, I've seen a few people talk about it on X. Nobody's really talking about it on YouTube. And a lot of the comments I've got from it are quite positive. So again, if you completely think it's a stupid idea, please shut me down, or anyone in the comments as well. Please shut me down and tell me this is the worst idea I've ever had. But my team needs a wild card for this game week, right? It's in a little bit of a mess. Again, I'm taking on some really highly owned players, which doesn't seem like the right idea to do. So I think the team needs a wild card. And the idea I've got here is wild card this week, bench boost in 33 to get all the doublers in and take full advantage of that double game week. But then after that, of course, we'll resume back to this team. It has a, fairly competitive starting 11 to play in game week 34. Then we can either bench boost in game week 35 or 36 when that Palace double goes in there. Now, I think the main upside of this is I automatically have a better side than everybody else for this game week. I've got some pretty nice players in there. I've still got some of the City boys covered, which other people will have on the 32 wildcard strategy. I can then get, the Brighton players, the Bournemouth players, the Leeds players for next week, get the double game week, and then not have to deal with them after that and resume to a very, very strong side of very good, consistent point scoring players who have been very good, should I say, for the course of this season. And I'm then also set up for my bench boost further down the line. If obviously Palace get there as well, I've already got my triple Palace in place. I'm in a pretty decent place there. The downside is a lot can happen between now and 36, and maybe my team might not be in a great position for the bench boost. So that could also hinder me a little bit. Palace game might also get removed out of there and move into 37. That's a possibility. So again, they wouldn't have a double game week. So there's still loads that could take place over the next few weeks. And maybe information is going to be key. I think if I was in a really good place, I would have rather delayed my wild card to either 33 or potentially 35. But I don't have the luxury of doing that. But still, this gets me away into that sort of strategy and that sort of kind of vibe, if you like. So yeah, that's the alternative strategy. What do you think about that one?
Okay. I lost my train of thought halfway through because I was just so pleased in the amount of red and white shirts in the team. So just to briefly, what if you went for this, what's the chip strategy again?
Wildcard this week, free hit next week, bench boost 35 or 36.
Okay. And then you would get back this side for 34. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, sure. Well, what do you believe you're most content with at this stage?
I think I'm quite content with this side because I just feel like I'm ignoring obviously the strong. Well, it's not even that strong a double game week. I feel like what I'm getting here is just consistent point scoring players, where everyone else is then going to be relying on Bournemouth, Brighton players after this game week, which doesn't feel like the strongest player in the world. Whereas me, I can revert back to going to, these Brunos, Rices, Thiagos, Bowens. These guys have just been so consistent. I think that is the big upside of this play.
Yeah, no, fairs. It's going to be a last minute decision, or you reckon you'll be right?
I genuinely think it will be like on the deadline, coin flip kind of deciding, to be honest. Yeah.
To those tuning in tonight, make sure to tune into FPL Tom's TikTok, where he will do a coin flip and the stream will last 20 seconds. Time is finite. in society. So thank you. Wow, there's a lot to contend with, and we love the discussion. So chat, what are you saying about these sides? Which ones are more aesthetic pleasing, where it would belong to a Van Gogh gallery, or is it the ones where, yeah, no, this is more logical? So beautiful, nice one. In terms of my team, you're going to think I'm very boring playing the straight back, but it's not as exciting as creating multiple wildcard drafts. Because if I'm being honest, I don't know what I'm doing yet. Like, I looked at this team, and I always go by, oh, who's that Dan guy? Dan Hill, FPL fella. I always go by his philosophy. I forgot his name for a moment. Where if you look at your team and it looks good for next week,
Yeah.
it might actually be okay. So, and I'm looking at and thinking, there's actually good fixtures all across the board. So I hate to break it to you, I'm probably going to roll. I mean, I know Enzo's got scandal issues in his own life, but we don't care. We just want points, so he can go on the bench. Chow got robbed last week, yeah. Senesi, I waited 19 weeks, finally got that clean sheet, yeah, and he's still somehow in this team. So, but yeah, what are you saying? Because more information, because we love information. We've got 3 free transfers with 3.3 million in the bank.
Okay, there's a lot of wiggle room here then, isn't there?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you've seen any previous episodes, but I love doing live transfers, like 48 hours out, no press conferences. I'm going to tap on a couple of buttons and see how we go.
Okay. Who are you like you're feeling towards right now? Who's like drawing your attention that you'd want for this game week?
Full attention. If I'm being honest, again, by Ekatike's minutes could be a concern, but Fulham's actually not a bad fixture. However, Fulham match Liverpool quite well in previous encounters. I'm at 1.9 off Haaland. Okay. I think like it's okay. So the double United attack at home to Leeds doesn't look too bad, and I think Wilson away at Anfield doesn't look too bad either because he can score against hard teams. I mean, being honest, like I could get away with rolling, but it's more when am I going to use those 4 extra transfers? Because I'm probably going to free hit. I think it's a way to go about it come next week with all the doublers and then back to game 34 and then start the wildcard process from 35. But what do you reckon, Tom? Because you've got the analysis, you've got the coverage, you've got the taste. I'm just here for propaganda.
It's a good team for this week. I think the only player that I'd be maybe a little bit fearful of taking on for just this game week would be Haaland. Like I know it's not like it's it's a big clash, big fixture, but I just think he's got the little bit of the bit between his teeth. He just looked back on it against Liverpool, so he'd probably be the one that I'd be fearful to take on. If you're going to free hit next week, that's fine. I guess the only reason that you're going to be using those transfers is kind of just maybe any sort of last minute plays, really, isn't it? Further down the line, like 37, 38, like fun kind of moves, to be honest, at that point, because otherwise you've got the wild card where you can set up for the bench boost.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of one of those, isn't it? Where what are you going to use the transfers for further down the line?
Mate, I've got no idea. I'm not going down this 4.5 territory. It's just full of
bin men.
Yeah, it's done that. I mean, Kobe Mainu, yes, he's under a new manager. He might be exciting, but I'm not having 3 United midfielders. That's just what am I doing? Because yeah, I don't know. Chat, what are you thinking? Like, is anyone up for a chat tonight? That's what I'm concerned about. Colm's saying Bowen it isn't. Oh, can I go there? I just don't know. Couldn't you go? Now, this is a bit intriguing. But taking them away before Leeds, is that worth it?
I don't think I'd do that.
You don't think so? Okay, sure.
I don't think there's anybody else that I'd be dying to get instead of him, really.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
If you can name me somebody that you'd rather have in there than Cunha, then or fair play, but I really don't. I genuinely don't see it. And I don't mind it if you're going to drop, if Enzo's going to be on the bench anyway, right? So you could just go down to a 4.5 and just stuff him third sub.
I was going to say, Tom, maybe I could name somebody that I used to know, but I don't know. Tricky. Just stuff a 4.5 mil, shove it in their throat. This guy returned, I think. Mate, he got double digits.
There you go.
Against Burnley. Chat, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it. See you later. We're going to do it. We're just going to do it.
Fair play.
Oh, God. I love my season. I really do. It's crap ranks, but who cares? Just now he's back. But captain, no? Haaland, what are you saying? Or is it Bruno?
I think it's got to be Bruno for me. I think if he's just been so consistent, and Leeds are, I think, third for goal involvements conceded to 10s. So everything there for me just screams Bruno.
I think everyone's watching the stream screaming, "What are you doing?" So we're bringing the Keane instead and taking someone who's unavailable for particular reasons. But wow, okay, so we got to Haaland with free transfers, which isn't actually a bad idea. Can I ask, with your team, how many doublers would you have come game week 32?
Was that with the wildcard team or with just no moves?
Let's go with your wildcard team, and you can also go with no moves too. Let's do both.
Wildcard would be 13 doublers if I went for the wildcard setup strategy. Well, let's have a look at my actual team. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
3. If I didn't make any moves.
Okay, calm. 3. All right, not too bad. I at the minute, if I know Premier League app just got a new update, so I'm still trying to get my head around that. These AI changes, this year have been not great.
No, I'm not a fan of the AI stuff.
So they're trying to overcomplicate the game. I'd have 5 doublers. So, yeah, you know what? I'm just going 3 here anyways. But there you go. So that is the team. I don't know what's in your hair gel, but it's making you impulsive banjo. Like, you're not wrong. Let's put it that way. Jojo is saying that Leeds are SHIT. Fair enough. Someone said Thiago out, which is fair, but or Wilson. Okay, so that's our side. So that created some engaging discussion. Now I'm going to name some players who could be worth your attention for the armband. So because of that, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to go solo for just a moment. I'm going to start with Bruno Fernandes because he has managed to score 6 goals and 2 assists in his 6 appearances against Monday night's opponents, it being Leeds United. Leeds haven't lost an away game, however, for 3 months, and that was dating back to their 4-3 defeat away at Newcastle. An incredible night of football, nonetheless. With that, the Portuguese has managed 2 goals and 5 assists in his last 4 league outings, including 3 double-digit hauls in that time. Hugo Ekitike, 3 of his 4 double digits have come from home matches. However, Fulham are renowned to be a bogey team. For Saturday's opponents, the last time Reds won by more than a goal against them was November 2018. Antoine Semenyo, in his last 8 league outings, 5 goals and an assist since having come over to Manchester from the south side, it being Bournemouth. Chelsea's last home league win came at the end of January, 3-2 against West Ham. And in that game, they were 2-0 down. Danny Welbeck, most transferred in, with now over 205,000 new owners, owned by less than 6%, 4 goals in his last 5, and only Spurs have secured less points than the Clarets in their home matches this season. He's away to Turf Moor, not a bad shout. Jarrod Bowen, as the last one, he hosts Wolves, and if you guys believe in the propaganda of the early kickoff, this is your main candidate. 4 assists in his last 6 games. He's achieved more than 10 defensive contributions in 4 of his last 5. Wolves haven't won an away game all season. Plus, this is a good one. He has scored 5 goals from his last 5 corresponding outings at home to Wolves, dating back to September 2020. So he does have a good track record in the past. But that's all for your captain's corner and particular candidates. I presume you're sticking with Bruno. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going with Bruno. He's the one for me this week.
That's fair. I'm going with Bruno because you told me to, so I'm going to spit at you when he blanks. Nah, kidding. But it's just, when it comes to thinking about FPL, you're going to be 5 minutes or 5 hours. And with silly transfers, I'm going to be 5 seconds instead. So there you go. And you wouldn't believe it. That's kind of the end of the show. So we can wrap up. We can discuss whatever's on your mind. If you want to give plugs to your particular social channels where they can tune into your coin toss stream, help yourself.
Yeah. If people want to come and check me out, just type in FPL Tom on any platform you can think of, and I'll probably appear with my curly, frizzy hair there, just chatting utter nonsense about FPL as usual. And obviously, if people enjoyed the podcast today, make sure you're hitting subscribe to the FPL Addicts podcast. I can see you guys are closing in on 400 subs. So
closing in on 400. I need Marcello to do more protests on Twitter.
But yeah, if you've enjoyed the pod, make sure you're hitting subscribe on the FPL Addicts channel.
Yeah, no, that's it. It actually feels good to be back, because sometimes it can be a commitment trying to puzzle it in, but once you're in the stream and actually in that flow, it's phenomenal. That's what it is. You've enjoyed it, JJ. Thank you. And more importantly, I really should say to Marcello, first of all, congratulations on your baby. I hope you're enjoying time as a father. We do miss you. And Reedy, I don't know what you're doing, but we miss you as well, alongside you, Rev, too. Jack, I don't know what you're doing, but always appreciate the work that you do. But more importantly, Tom, thank you so much for devoting some of your 52 minutes of this holy life, because there's no better time to live in the present than coming on the Addicts pod. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
There you go. And you guys, we'll be back next week for Double Trouble Showdown. Don't know what guests were coming on, or either he's coming in again, but no, I don't know yet. But until then, enjoy the weekend of football. It's finally back, and so is the running. Until next time.